voice, whoever that is. And welcome to another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room. I'm your host, Ray Mancini, here with my ace corner man, cut man, everyday man, Mike Case. Mike, don't.
I didn't do my.
Mike
Didn't do my wave.
Mike does. He kills me because.
Is it like a natural thing for you?
Yeah, but Ray thinks it's feminine. I think he thinks it's a little bit feminine. He doesn't care for it on his program.
It's a bit misophonic. I don't know. It's a bit.
Yeah.
But it's like
It's a bit.
Yeah.
Just want to say hi.
I didn't go that thing, isn't
Yeah.
that? Anyhow, but here with a very special guest today, Youngstown, Warren, the area. You can't say Youngstown zone, but Warren zone, Youngstown Warren zone. How's that? So the tri-state area. What do we?
Mahoning County.
Tri-County
Mahoning
area.
County guy.
Tri-County
County.
area.
Yeah, I guess.
Probably the best chef in the area and has been for a long time.
Oh,
Our
God,
good
you're
friend
being too nice.
Mark Canzonetta, who is the champion of his arena.
Well, thank you, Ray.
Oh,
Thank
That's
you so
true.
much.
That's
Thanks,
true.
Mike. Thanks
my
for
pleasure.
having me.
No, thanks for coming. Now, can I tell a little bit, Mike?
Yeah, please.
Tell people what we've been doing today.
We've had a long day.
We've had this morning. It
was fun, though.
Yeah, it was fun.
For a show. We cooked for us today. So we were out at his house pounding the meat. And we
rubbed it too.
Rubbed it too. We rubbing the meat, pounding the meat, throwing all kind of sauce on that meat. And then we had to go wash our hands.
Right.
And then, so...
They were pounding some drinks too.
It's been that type of morning.
Yeah. And that was the second
we
part.
just took a left turn right from the jump.
Yep.
Right from the jump. Yeah.
It was
We
a
were
crazy
going
day.
sideways with this show. Anyhow, but it was for a show, one of his shows that he has. We had a barbecue.
And we had your
Oh, yeah.
and we
a
had
Sicilian,
We had a Sicilian
dish.
feast.
We had a Sicilian feast. Mark cooked, and my family being from Sicily. He had me there as a guest, and it was spectacular. It really was.
Thank you.
It really was.
And I've never been to Sicily, so
Oh, you
you
gotta-
saying
that's
that to me
spectacular.
means a lot. Because I love Sicilian cuisine.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like a cuisine based on just like New Orleans is a port city. Sicily.
Okay. Talking
Same
about
way.
it, you didn't. You just said it. People don't realize when the immigrants came, New Orleans, Nolans, which I was just there a couple
Nolans.
of weeks ago, was one of the main cities where Sicilian immigrants went. They come through New York, but they went through down around south and went into Nolans because it is a port city.
And
That's
what
exactly
bread is famous from Sicily? It is the most famous sandwich of New Orleans, the muffalata.
The
Muffalata.
muffalata, see.
Yeah, and that is a
about them?
Sicilian sandwich.
Yeah, how about
Absolutely.
them? There you go.
So-
and so it was
What
just
part of you is Sicilian? Dad,
my,
mom,
my
both?
father.
Yeah.
My mom's Irish.
Oh, okay.
My mom's Irish English, and but my father. When I was fighting, they'd say, "We know your father's from Sicily. What part of Italy is your mother from?" I said, "No, my mother's Irish." My father goes back, "Don't say that. Don't say
So
that."
why is it that there's so many Italian guys end up with Irish women?
Yeah, no, I was at that time. Look, the mixture. Back then, before that, my great uncle, my father's uncle, my uncle Johnny, married Marianne Ag. She was a Croat. That was considered mixed marriage. When you mix,
And that's just like right across the border.
right? But when you have the mixed cultures, was considered mixed marriage back then. Now and then, when you start with Irish and Italians, and then of course in Youngstown we had large Eastern Bloc Europeans coming. So a lot of them
My
married the
grandfather was
Slovakian.
Eastern Bloc on my mom's side.
Yeah, they married the Slovaki people. Married the Slovaki
Yep.
or Croatians and Serbian and Italians, and it really is a true melting pot here. But back then that was considered a mixed marriage. So now, and mixed marriage, the black and white considered mixed, but before that it was the mixed cultures were considered mixed marriage.
Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's interesting.
So it's just such a Youngstown. This area is such a great heritage for the immigration
Of course.
of multiple countries.
And when I say true melting pot, we were that, are that, and that's where the mixture of foods, which it's like that segue, Mike. Segue right
Go on.
into Mark's arena.
Yeah,
Oh, I love food.
I do.
I do.
I do. You've been cooking it for years.
Eating
it for longer than that.
I was a young kid.
Yeah.
It was a Saturday afternoon, and it was back in the day when you had a console television. If your parents had a little bit of money.
Yeah, if you're
And
lucky, you
if
had the
were
big
lucky.
television.
And then you turned the dial. Remember the dial? Well, you had 21, 27, 33. But there was this funky one, PBS, 45. So there was nothing on 21, 27, or 33. So I turned it on. It was raining, downpour rain outside. And then there's this crazy an American woman speaking with a French accent, Julia Child, who is still to this day my culinary idol, and she made a bombe au chocolat. And at 11 years old, I took down the recipe, the methodology. I actually made a diagram, just like she did, of how to make it. I sent my mom to the store for the ingredients. And at 11 years old, I made a very rudimentary bombe au chocolat.
Because of her, or
Because
just
of
because
her.
of the food, or
No,
it
because
looked good?
I grew up just like Ray, immigrant grandparents on both sides.
Yeah.
You know, my first memory of cooking with my grandmother on my father's side, my grandmother Vivian, is making raviolis and homemade pasta. On Sunday morning at the big table, and,
Yeah.
Grandma would hang pasta from whatever she could hang it from.
Yeah.
Whether it was a coat rack or a pasta rolling rack, or take down the drapes and hang it from the drape hangers. And that was my first. I grew up around food, and family and culture, and just food brought everybody to the table.
That's right. That's
And some of it's a lost time now.
No, it is. It is.
It's very much a lost time, and I think that's a little bit what's wrong with America now. Nobody sits down at the dinner table and works
at the
everything
same
out.
time. When
No,
never.
never.
It's funny.
We never do.
And that was not now. And no matter what you try, when the kids are small, I used to try to do it all the time. We sit down at family dinner, you say family prayer, and then you eat and everything. And then the kids start getting older, and they got their activities and school activities, and little by little they trickle in, and then
pagers happened.
Pardon?
And then pagers happened.
Pagers.
Remember pagers?
Yeah.
And then pagers happened.
Yeah.
And then cell phones happened. cable,
we were a little
MTV.
past that with our children now. We were a little
Yeah.
past the pagers.
Oh, yeah.
But with the phones, but with activities, school activities, and you don't have the family. So Sundays you hope to do it, right? Sundays.
Hope to.
Yeah, you hope
My
to.
kids get antsy. Like they'll take a bite and walk around the table and sit back down. They can't sit there, and they're like, "Well, what am I supposed to just sit and visit?"
That's right.
That's all you got to do is sit and visit. Your grandmother wants you to sit there and talk. That's
right.
what they want you
That's
to do.
exactly.
They can't do it.
And it was the best of times back then.
No. Yeah.
Because, grandma and grandpa always had the sons and daughters over, and their wives or husbands and their kids. And there would be like 25, 30 of us there on Sunday. And back in the day, my grandmother, all my grandparents had cherry trees, apple trees, peach, pear,
Sure.
Fig.
tree.
Don't forget the fig tree.
Of course, the fig
Figa,
tree.
the
And
figa.
we would go up in the trees, pick cherries, and that would be part of our dessert. Or I would go up with my grandfather and pick dandelion greens for dandelion salad.
Oh, dandelion salad is delicious, man. But you can't get it at a lot of places.
No, you can't, because it's too bitter. Most people don't get it.
Yeah, no.
They don't get it.
But it's
But
delicious.
just what I like to do with my restaurants is harken back to a time lost. So what I try to bring family to the restaurants. That's why I have like big communal tables, and I call it the Godfather table or the Last Supper table, because you bring strangers together. I was blessed to work with Guy Fieri, and a great friend to this day, but he calls himself an amalgamator of people. He brings together people that don't know each other from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and you all come together, and what's the common thing? Food.
Oh, that's right. So that's why it's a restaurant. You have that large table. 'Cause
Exactly.
That makes sense. That makes sense because people sit there, and then you say, "You mind if I sit here?"
Yeah,
No,
I know.
no, no. Yeah,
It's awkward at
Yeah,
first,
at first it could be, but it does. It brings people together, and you start talking. Inevitably, you got to start talking, right?
Yep.
Well, you know what? I was at a restaurant in Chicago probably 10 years ago. It's called the Purple Pig, and just an amazing restaurant. And hello, Chicago, Lauren Lindig.
Yeah.
But just an amazing restaurant, and I just noticed, in Chicago is like Youngstown. Everybody is just friends immediately. So, you sit down at these huge tables, and then you order food, and all of a sudden people are just passing you their food. And then you start passing people your food. And I said, wow, what a great idea to bring
Yeah.
people together. And that's why I did it at Aqua, and I've done it here. And, if I'm blessed, the next restaurants
Right.
will have communal tables as well.
Let's go through the restaurants. You started with what?
Pestos,
Back in
1989.
what?
Where
And
was
what?
that? Where was that? At?
That was in the Howland Plaza
I
down here
never.
by John.
I know. When
Yeah.
you kept saying the show today was called Pestos.
And they call him Pesto
Yeah,
because tell him the story
I
why.
don't know about it.
Yeah.
They call you Pesto.
they call me Pesto. So that's my nickname. So I owned a restaurant called Pestos because pesto in our family was like the Sunday dish,
love
and it wasn't
pesto
pesto
sauce.
Genovese.
No,
It wasn't
no,
Genovese
no,
style
no,
pesto.
no.
So somewhere along the line, I don't know how, because cream and pesto don't really go together, but
No.
my family added cream to it. So quite honestly, it was sour cream. So we made a pesto.
It's like
I
a creamy
still-
green sauce.
Yeah, creamy green sauce.
Wow.
So I still have my great grandfather's mortar and pestle to make pesto.
No kidding.
So I opened up a restaurant and I wanted to play, give homage to my family's
sure.
favorite dish, so I called it Pestos. And it was
Ah.
down here in East Market Street
I didn't realize
in,
that,
in
no.
the Howland Giant Eagle Plaza, and we were there for about 10 years.
Oh, my
Italian place?
Well, it was mixed because, I was a young culinarian coming out of this Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, and I traveled the country, and if I would go to New Orleans, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm amazed by this food. And I just fell in love with that food, so I would feature some Cajun and Creole food. If I went to a French restaurant, I would feature. So it was a bistro-styled food, and so we had a huge influences of global cuisine before global cuisine was a big thing. So, anyways, after I would get done with my hours, which were till 10 o'clock, Richard Alberini, God rest his soul, up on the Strip, he was like a mentor to me, and I still look at his words today. One night he had probably had one too many glasses of wine. I come walking through the door and he starts singing pesto, 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 and I was pesto branded.
And it stuck.
And it stuck. And I love the nickname.
Oh, yeah.
So you did it for how long there?
10 years there.
And why did you stop?
I stopped because I felt, we came into a little bit of a recession and, times were tight. And, I was a young culinarian and I wasn't a businessman at that point. So not being a businessman, I didn't pay attention to the finances as well as I should have. So I came up cash short.
But why would you? Unless that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
You're a cook.
So,
that's your chef. That's what
I
you
was a
do.
chef. I wasn't a businessman.
No,
I wasn't,
that's
and the most important thing I would tell young culinarians that want to be chefs, it's not just about being a chef. You have to be a dining room manager. You have to be an accountant.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, my dad told me a long time ago, pennies are dollars. And he's so right, God rest his soul. So anyways, that's how pesto came about, and after pestos, I went on, just kind of a journey of trying to find myself, who I was as a culinarian. And, I did a stint down at Sunrise with the Hyderis family.
Okay.
And Kenny and his father and his uncle and his brother were just great to me. And, I wanted to be a part of the downtown culture because in downtown Warren, that's where my family started.
Mike has let him come. He's still trying to find himself.
I am.
Well,
Actually,
sometimes you do.
We were talking about it today, as a matter of fact.
I didn't really find...
He was trying to find himself today.
49 and a half. I'm still looking.
I didn't really find myself till I was 35, to be honest with you. About 35, I kind of figured out what my path was, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do for my future, and then I started to go after it aggressively.
Was it going to be restaurants, or did you
It was
almost
definitely
go
going to be
someplace else?
no. There was never a question it was going to be somewhere else because I didn't have skill sets in other areas. I have vast interest in a lot of things, but from a business standpoint, it's what I know. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I love to do, and it's what my family's always done.
Yeah.
So
And one thing the old saying: if you're gonna be successful, find that one thing. Find that one thing that you're good at and stick with it. And obviously, that's a great.
Well, I believe
great for
whether you believe in a
success,
higher power or not, I believe in God, and I believe that the big guy gave me a gift.
No, you
and,
got
and I was
absolutely.
young enough to recognize it,
Absolutely.
follow it, and now finally at 53 be successful
No,
at it.
absolutely.
Why do people, here's what I've always wondered about people that start their own restaurants. They're doing pretty well as a cook in another restaurant.
Sure.
And usually that restaurant's very successful.
Sure.
And they're working a ton of hours anyhow.
Of course.
Then they want to open their own place, but then their hours almost double. It seems like the work is so hard.
Well,
but a lot of them want to do it. Is it just the creative part in them, or what is it you think?
Well, I think it's the entrepreneurial spirit in everyone. I think a lot of us have that spirit. Some of us can do it and some of us can't. But people that are chefs are, how do you say, cabotost? Hardheads.
Hardheads.
They're hardheads.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're hardheads. They don't want to listen to anybody else. They want to do it their way.
Right.
Whether right or whether wrong. And then once you go into business, you will either live or die by that sword. And so they open up a restaurant, but then what some of them find out is, now I have to manage a dining room manager, a bar manager, 22 servers, busboys.
And you got to find a cook like you
exactly
that you can count on.
Exactly.
Right.
And then, so, being a chef, it goes back to, it's like being a teacher. It's like being a coach of a football team. You have to train, and you have to be able to recognize what person has talent in what area, and then exploit it. Like whether you like the Patriots or you don't like the Patriots, what you can say is Bill Parcells knows how to get every ounce of talent out of every player.
Bill Belichick. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
He was
Yeah.
a protege of Parcells.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
idea.
I'm sorry.
Exact
Yeah.
same idea, though.
Yeah, and same with Bill Parcells. Yeah. So,
no, you're right.
So being a restaurant owner is like being a coach of a team.
Yeah.
Because you got to coach personalities in today's climate.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the restaurant business, I'm sure people come to work and grumpy and angry. And
Everybody's got
irritable.
outside lives, right?
Exactly.
So, when you have outside lives, everybody has, you might have had a bad day. Your kids might have drove you crazy.
Mike always has a bad day. But yeah, whenever. But, no,
I'm on a streak. I'm on a streak right now.
But that's the good thing is, like, the chef people follow restaurants because they follow chefs. They don't follow restaurants. They follow chefs. Am I right?
You know what? When you go to a restaurant, like when you come to one of my restaurants, you either text me, call me, or whatever.
Right.
Mark, you going to be there?
Right.
Exactly. People want that go-to person.
Yeah.
They want that go-to person, that person that they know is going to make them feel a little bit special for a few hours.
Well, places like New York, L.A., Chicago, chefs, that's a big thing. When they go, that's what makes or breaks the restaurant.
Chefs went from being a band of pirates to being rock stars.
Yeah.
They really have become the rock stars of today. You look at Guy Fieri, who I worked for, and you look at Gordon Ramsay, and and some of the other guys that are out there, and women. And I love when I see a powerful woman in the kitchen. That just makes me feel so great. One of my pastry chefs, Amanda, she is just. She's such a strong woman, and she's so great at what she does. And the celebrity chefs, they've made it like they've put chefs on a plateau.
Yeah, no, as they should be respected, because what was one of the things we enjoy in life the most? We enjoy eating.
Yes.
We enjoy eating, good foods, and they help you with with the foods, with the wines. Man, it's the best when you got somebody doing that for you. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
So no, my back to that. My life has been a path. After I left, after I closed my restaurant, I went down to Sunrise for a little bit. I wanted to work for somebody that was like a mentor to me, and that person was Sam Cavelli, and Sam's immense success. And I actually went to work for a branded theme restaurant, O'Charlie's. Yeah. Believe it or not, from a guy like me. And during that 4 years then I was Sam. He taught me about the bottom line and how to treat the bottom line, and he taught me about branding and huge about branding, and he taught me about how people should look and act and be in the dining room. And he was just Sam's kind of a guy that works in real time, and he expects a lot. Everybody always asked me, was it hard to work for Sam? And I said, no, it was easy, because I was like him. I was driven for success and driven to take care of my guests. And I spent some time with Sam, and then I had an opportunity to come back to town and work for a company, Giarusa Foods and Tom Ziden, and I came back to town, and I got to work with some cool environments. I got to work in the R&D department for Guy Fieri, Mario Batali, and I got to design some products, a lot of products for Guy and some for Mario. But that's how my relationship with Guy started, right there.
You worked there already, and then
then Guy said to you, and then Tom came up to me one day and said, "What do you know about salsas?" I'm like, I'm basically Mexican.
I know some stuff.
I know some stuff. So, I met Guy in New York in 2010, and we hit it off that day and formed a bond, a relationship of trust and, mutual admiration for cooking and culinary experience. And
how much of him is showman and how much of him is cook?
Let me tell you something. What people don't know about Guy can throw down. He's been working.
Cook, huh?
He can cook. He's been working in restaurants for a long time, since he was a kid like me. Guy, he's a very driven, passionate person. He had a popcorn, cart to save up money so he could go to France for a year and learn about French food, and French lifestyle. Huh. And that's how he got started. Guy's parents, great hardworking folks, but they came from means like we did. We didn't have a lot, but we made the most of it. Right. So he went to France, he came back home, and he fell in love with food. And he's a gregarious showman. I mean, he's over the top, just like his hair, just like his sunglasses, his personality. But he can throw down in the kitchen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I mean, I saw him win to get on, You know how the Food Channel had the thing
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you had to
And his
win
friends
to
pushed
become-
him to do that. That wasn't something the guy necessarily wanted to do. His friends pushed him to get on there because they knew how big his personality was.
People, when they watch him, like him.
They
He has
genuinely
a factor that other people don't have, you know?
Well, he has that everybody factor. You
Yeah.
know, he can sit down with a vice president of a company and have a beer, or he could sit down with a plumber and have a beer. And it doesn't matter to him. He loves people. He especially loves kids and he loves charities, but he really does a great job of making everybody around him feel special.
Yeah.
So he is a great showman, though. I mean, when you look at what he does for the Food Network, when the Food Network, their media buy, he's about 48%, and that was when I was with him, of their media buy. So
Which means he has tons of shows, or
no, that means when the advertisers buy in,
yeah, though they want him.
they want him.
Huh.
So he was responsible for about 48% of all the media buy for the entire Food Network, not just his show.
Wow.
It's pretty
That's
good.
strong.
Yeah, it's pretty
That's
good.
strong.
So I had a great career with Guy. I had a wonderful career with Guy, and it kind of gave me the ability to launch my own brand.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been able to do since I've been back home again.
Well, correct me. There's you hear about a lot of chefs when they're working in restaurants. Like you said, what you were saying earlier about why they go off on their own, because they say, "I'm making this." Because people are coming to see me eat my food, they eating his food, And some guys are personalities who had like a Michael Alberini, a local guy. Our local guy, Mike Alberini. Mikey works room better. The only guy who worked the room better than him was his uncle Richie. Richie was the best.
Richie was the best.
Nobody worked the room better than Richie. Michael's close second, but Michael's smart enough to know it's his kitchen gets the people there.
That's it.
Yeah.
You
That's
got to have the honey that draws the flies.
Yes.
But when when he got him there, he works the room pretty good, and that's what I'm saying. That's why these chefs becoming, like you said, becoming rock stars, because I'm like, who are these guys? I mean, but again, the Food Network made it something.
Well, you know what? Those men and women that have gotten to that level, they've paid their dues because what a lot of people don't see, the behind the scenes of the restaurant and the hospitality industry, is the immense amount of hours that people work.
Oh no, there's no dispute about that. I've seen that. I've seen that with friends. My son worked for a restaurant, and you see the hours are there. Preparation. He used to have to go in and set the menu. He worked everything. He was a server, but he's mainly when he was a cashier. At this restaurant, you come in, but you set the menu. You set
Right.
You order what you need more of. You set the orders. So I mean, did a lot, and I seen that. And I said, man, that's not just a typical going in. I was a busboy. That's all I was at a restaurant. I was a busboy early on. This is so much more. And it's
Well,
like,
I don't know if you remember this, but I was your busboy when you used to come into Jimmy Sheffo's.
Jimmy, that's another great chef in this area. If everyone remembers Jimmy Sheffo's. Yeah. Well, if you remember back then, the two best chefs for me, I shouldn't say the best. For me, the best chefs in Mahoney County was Nicky Levanti.
Yep.
And in Trumbull County was Jimmy Sheffo.
Oh, Jimmy was.
Yeah,
I worked for Jimmy. I was blessed to work for Jimmy.
Yeah.
But here's a guy that till his dying days was first guy in the kitchen at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So and in the culinary field right now, there's a huge mental health issue thing going on because of so many hours.
Amazing. What is it? It's a passion. It's more than a job. It's your livelihood. But you're there. The hours are because it's a passion. You got to, and a lot of guys got to be there to make sure their kitchen's running right.
Sure.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But
you know what? And then going back to training and being an educator and training your team, because without the team that I have behind me, like things like we did today, I didn't prep one of those single things.
And what they did
It was
was
tremendous.
ridiculous, wasn't it?
I
All
just
the stuff?
assembled it all together. I mean, those guys prepped it. I type out the menus. I type out the specs for the recipes. But they put it together for me. They make me look good, both front of the house and back of the, and my management team.
Mike, I'm watching. Jesus was there, but the others too.
Yep, in
Yep.
those little bowls.
They're just
little
no.
bowls.
They're getting. I mean, they're so particular. But even how much of salt they're picking up and putting on, and how much of the oregano, and how much of the other
Everything.
herbs. It's just it's amazing. I'm watching because they're so particular. So
No, you can't be like that.
No, they're just so precise, and that makes a difference.
Well, the big one of the bigger challenges is training young chefs, especially young culinarians, is balance in food. Because you go out to eat a lot and you taste food, and we live in the age of chain restaurants. I'd love to own a chain restaurant.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Because I'm trying to create a brand with
Which
my next
isn't all
restaurant.
bad.
It's
No.
not all bad.
No.
No.
And people down on those. I go to them.
Yeah.
all the time.
No,
yeah.
Because I know what I'm going to get.
But
You know what you're gonna get. What's your
but
favorite
depends
chain?
on what it is.
I think for Father's Day, I might go to Outback.
There you go.
It's open.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get something good. I'm going to eat a lot. I'm going to have that big onion thing. I'll be a happy person when I leave. You know what I mean? So that's what I think.
So what do we have in common in our past?
We worked for a chain restaurant.
We did.
Which one?
Not the same one, but different branches of Chi-Chi's Mexican restaurante.
Chi-Chi's.
You remember
Yeah.
Chi-Chi's?
I remember. What did
I was a server.
I
waiter.
And I was I started
cook.
as a fry cook and then ended up being a kitchen manager and then general manager. So
Chi-Chi's, man, they're no longer around.
Oh, it's been 20 years.
yeah.
yeah, it's been a long time.
But
probably.
there's a couple other joints that chains that if come and go to the area and they go, well, where they at? But they
I know.
come and they
Favorite
go.
dish at Chi-Chi's?
I would get a big burrito with and I would put the con queso on top instead of the regular sauce because I love their chili con queso, like a
I
big
know, I've made it for you
melted
separate.
cheese. I know it's not good for me. I get that. I know what you're going to say next, but go
I
ahead.
don't want to say nothing. I want to say, I'm saying that sounds like a good dish.
And then bottomless chips and salsa and more cheese. and I was a happy.
I like the nachos grande.
Oh, that's good too.
The nacho grande
that was good back in
with
the
the
day.
beans and then the ground beef and the cheese and the jalapenos and it had to be perfect and all that. So they were great. Back in the day they were the #1 dinner house in America at one point.
I believe that.
that
#1 dinner house in America at one point.
Which begs the question: why don't we have it anymore?
I think combination of bad press. They got. Look, a lot of chains have to rebrand and change themselves through the times, and they have to they get CEOs and CFOs that come in and say we got to make more money, and sometimes to make more money you cut quality. So when I started with Chi-Chi's back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, but we were picking chicken off the bone. We were using real steak. We were, ground beef.
Yeah.
We were taking cheese blocks of Wisconsin cheddar and Monterey Jack and
Right.
aging them in the cooler.
Oh well. Wow.
And then it went to bagged cheese. It went to processed beef and, all these different things. So sometimes chains, they look at labor savings because in today's business climate, labor cost is a huge part of doing
going up.
business. It never goes down.
Right.
And people deserve to make a fair wage,
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah,
we try to do at our
absolutely.
restaurant.
Right.
We do, in my opinion, pay above what most restaurants pay because that gives me peace of mind and continuity in my team.
Well, it's funny you said that because you want people working for you that are happy being there.
Absolutely.
Because as they go, your restaurant goes.
Yep.
It's like I always tell people. My wife always laughs at me because when I have a waiter, whatever restaurant I'm in, it could be Perkins Pancake House or it could be a top high end restaurant like your restaurant or Mike Alberini's or whatever. And people come over and my kids will say, Pop, please don't say it. And that's wherever I go in the country. Every city I go in. They say, Pop, don't say it because they know what I'm going to say. First, I'll say, they'll give you the menu and everything. I'll say, is there any specials tonight besides the waitress? Or especially besides the waiter. I say men and women. I don't discriminate.
Oh, that's nice.
So the guys start laughing. The woman laughs, And the reason I do that, I try to explain to my kids. I do that because I want to ingratiate, make them part of the process, part of the experience. Because it is an experience, a dining experience. And I don't think they're serving me. And I always say, I'm always last order. My wife said I'm the last one because I hear everything the order. I'll pick up on the menu I'd like. And I say, can I ask you enough? What do you suggest? And they'll say, which one? What's your favorite? And I'll tell you. Oh, great. Okay, I'll go with yours. I want to make them part of the process. What I don't want is saying spitting in my food, and I don't want them going, like you see the movie Waiting.
Yeah, of
course.
I don't want that.
No, you don't need that.
I don't want that.
Somewhere there's an in between.
I don't.
Probably.
The sad thing is you do see that in instances.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's caught on the eye in the sky.
Oh my! Oh,
It's like,
Mark,
why would you do that?
Mark? There was a restaurant in Youngstown, right by where I live, down the street. It was called Palazzo's, right there on Zedeker and Midlothian and south side of Youngstown. My brother used to work there. He said, Raymond, whatever you doing? Don't let mom and dad eat there. No, what just. And then I hear the stories. Oh, God. It was that movie, on steroids. I mean, but you hear this. But I'm always trying to ingratiate because, dude, and I always tell people, why would you give the waitress or waiter grief? You can't kill the messenger.
No.
They're just a messenger.
No. Unless they're
That's
ignoring
all.
you. Unless they're completely ignoring you, then
So, like,
There's a difference.
That's the only way.
No, you're right, Mike.
That's
You're
the
absolutely
only
right.
way.
So,
but
doesn't
usually,
that bother you though? Like as a business owner, it seems to me, again, who the hell am I? That the employee at the restaurant has the owner by the short hairs, because
and we don't want them short hairs in our
No,
salad.
we don't, because there are a million restaurants. within 5 miles of here, there's got to be 55
I
restaurants.
crack myself.
I guarantee it.
They could just stop,
You might be low.
stop working at your place and just go to the next place, can't
You know, and that does happen a lot. You know, sometimes not as much in the kitchen. Kitchen guys in the culinary field, they're looking for where can I get 50 cents more. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I completely understand because I don't even know what the minimum wage is because I don't pay it. When you hire somebody at minimum wage, if it's somebody that's 17, 18 years old and they're first starting out, that's different.
Yeah.
But when you have a grown man that's got a track record of consistent job performance, consistent years at places, because I look at that when I see a resume. If I see a resume of somebody that has 5 jobs in 1 year, it's like click next.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to see somebody that's been at least at a place for a year,
Yeah.
or a place for 2 years, and then another place for 2 years. But I also look at where they work and where they're trying to progress themselves as a person, number one, and as a culinarian, number two. So it's talent is hard to find. It really is. It's the most hard thing to find.
Let me ask you something. Like my son now, who worked in the restaurant, Italian restaurant, he worked for about 6 years. Now he's in New York. He's an actor, and he's going on. But he was doing a job. Because Mr. Canzonetta, can you make a payment on your credit card? Oh no, well then here's the number to call. Yeah, you're doing that. You can't do that. So finally, he got offered to work in a restaurant. He got to find a restaurant because he knows it, and he's done everything. He's served. He's been a runner. He's been a server, but he's worked as a cashier where they come in, they order. He sets the menu. He sets he done all that. So now he's doing that, and he's comfortable because he knows it. But he used to say, Pop, he said the other good thing is that whether you're a starving actor or whatever, these people, and I'm assuming, I don't want to clip for sure, they get to eat there. They get a meal. Now they can't eat the top line meal.
Right.
But there's things you can eat. You can't order top steaks. You can't do that. But they get the pasta dishes, or they get a salad, all the salad dishes, salad entrees. They get that for free.
And that's an important point because I
because
would
you
rather
save
have
a lot of money. Yeah, if you're a young kid and you're making money, but you're saving a lot of money eating. So if you're a waiter, one a day you get the big meal, eat that as your lunch or your dinner, or if you're there both shifts, you get 2 meals. You get lunch and dinner. It saves quite a bit of money.
Yeah, it does.
I
would rather actually, I want a server that's not hungry or the word hangry. Yeah. I don't want a hangry
No,
server
we don't need hangry.
waiting on my guests because when you're hungry,
you get hangry. Oh, I'm one of them guys. I get hangry. That's good. I love that term. Hangry. I never heard it before.
Are you serious?
No, I never heard that term.
You're married.
There's a restaurant in Sharon called Hangry's.
No, there's not.
Yeah, I think so. You see it when you're driving from here to Sharon.
Okay, I didn't know
But
that.
same
right
thing
hand
when
side.
you're hungry, you don't shop because when you
Yeah.
go shopping,
Oh, yeah.
they tell you don't eat, shop when you're hungry. But I mean, I don't. I'm assuming that their dishes your people are allowed to eat.
My cooks eat for the most part. They don't take advantage.
No.
But we always
your
have
waiters and stuff,
something. The waiters, if they want something that's like higher up, it's like 50% off.
Yeah, that's
give
fine.
them-
No, I get it.
Yeah, just to cover our costs.
Right. No, exactly. That's that. But that's the great thing about working in a restaurant. You save a ton of money on food.
Yeah.
Because if you're there that often, you're working often, you're not cooking for yourself.
So, what do you think? My question to both you guys is, you being close to my age and you too, how do you think the dining has changed from when we were kids and going out to eat with our parents? Because it was more of a grand style back then versus
I
how
was
casual
just
it is.
going to say that my kids do not appreciate going out to eat like we appreciated going out to eat. Like it was special.
Oh, it was special.
To go out to
Like
eat
a couple
and
times
you
a year.
First of all, you dressed up a little bit, unless
Yes.
you were coming from a ball game, and you sat there and you were quiet and you were behaved. And my kids do not do any of that stuff because they go out so much. People go out so much now because they're lazy as heck, like I am, or they don't have time, or boom, it's almost cheaper to go to the restaurant
Sometimes it is.
and take something home with you. But it's totally different now, don't you
Totally
think?
different. Like when I was a busboy and you used to come into Jimmy Sheffos. Do you? I can't remember the maitre d's name now, but I remember Sammy something. But he wore a tuxedo.
Oh,
We got greeted by a guy at the door with a tuxedo.
Dining experience. They want you to engage. They want to engage you in a dining experience.
And I'm still excited about it. Aren't you still excited about going out to eat?
I love going out to
Me
eat.
too.
And I said this. I do. I enjoy eating out. But after a while, you get jaded by it because I've eaten out so much through the years and so many good restaurants. I was doing out every day for so many years, and now that I have a wife that cooks, so often. I mean, and she's a wonderful cook.
So what's
and
Tina's
then-
best dish?
Oh, she's great. We don't know more. I don't know. I mean, she's great with pasta. She's good being Italian, but she could do the American cuisine. But you know what her greatest, and this I mean this, she can go in to the kitchen, open up the kitchen, you know, a little leftover from here, leftovers. She can make something from nothing.
People don't do
and
that
make it
anymore.
s-
That is
it
such a
tastes like
lost art.
million
Yeah,
bucks.
it really is.
Something
It's
from
such a
nothing.
lost
She's
art.
the best at that.
Like
My
your
bride
mom
is the
could
best.
open up the
Yeah.
thing and go,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, we got
That-
something.
That's
Beep,
what she'll
beep,
do.
beep.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of this, a little bit, and she makes something from nothing, and it's the best. And
Don't
she's
you think
fine.
people have lost
They have. You know, it's about creative thinking. You know, and making something out of nothing. You know, I worked with a person, Martha Coppola, years ago, and I was trying to get onto the Food Network and trying to do the next Food Network star and auditioning and trying out things like that. And she goes, you know, your best thing is you are the leftover king. She said that. She says you can make scraps into amazing food, and you know we've lost that ability. You know, I don't know why people bring things home in to-go boxes because my kids, our kids, those are science experiments just waiting to develop in the
Yep.
refrigerator.
Oh, I'm big on leftovers.
I am
but
too.
a lot of kids don't eat them.
I
But
bring
the
that
kids don't
doggy
like
back
them.
home. Oh, I bring that doggy back home, man. I make it an art form the next day.
Well,
Some foods
it's
are
rare.
better the second day.
They are.
Some foods like a pizza, sometimes pasta, sometimes chicken. Not
Mm-hmm.
all the time hot, of course, but they're just as good the next day. And man, and that's I do enjoy that. I do enjoy that. But it's funny you said that about back when I was young. You know, when we were going, my parents eating out. Like I said, it was an experience. To go out and have dinner. And
So you being
well,
from Struthers, where did you guys go?
well, I'm from Southside Youngstown.
Oh, South.
So
I'm sorry.
Struthers.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I love Struthers. But there's just a little farther. Struthers. That's you heard me right. Strudders. Struthers. But I know they got great restaurants there. And I'm from the South Side. Mark, we say if you ain't from the South Side, you're from the outside. Anyhow, but my mom was able to do that. Take leftovers, just something from nothing, and make it into something.
Absolutely.
And that's the best part. But my bride couldn't do that, and I love that meals, man. That's the best. When you have
Oh, like Sunday, like we called it Sunday salad when we were growing up because my godfather, my Uncle Pete Cicero, and he's still with us at 90, I think 4 years old now, owns Cicero's Market on Youngstown Road. So my dad, his insurance office was right up the road, so he would go and get Capicola and Genoa and Provolone and all this stuff during the course of the week, and then on Sunday he'd open up the refrigerator and say, "Let's make a salad.
What's left?
What's left?"
Mark, what I found, correct me if I'm wrong, what I found interesting is now you go to restaurants, especially in L.A. and New York, and you order, which was depression food.
Absolutely.
Now you're paying $20.
Oh yeah,
Or more.
Polenta,
How about polenta?
Or more.
greens and beans, chicharron beans. You're paying $16-20 for a plate. That's depression food, and people don't understand that.
That's like Lent food.
Oh.
You know?
and it's like and there's sometimes
We grew up with that.
exactly. And it's funny when we come back from Italy. If we go visit Italy, come back, friends of mine go, "How's the spaghetti meatballs?"
They don't.
I
make
don't
it.
know because it ain't an Italian dish. Well, it's an Italo-American dish. The polenta, polenta. I said polpetti. Meatballs are called polpetti.
Yeah.
Italian. And pasta you serve them separately. They're an appetizer.
Yeah.
Then the pasta comes usually with pescatore with fish.
Yeah.
Or olive oil and garlic or some vegetale, but the bolognese became later. Again, that's a more northern Italian.
Exactly.
But again, we make it in here. People make it because you get ground meat and they mix it up and they put the pasta and the meat together and they made the bolognese. Here they go. We had pasta with meat, but meat sauce is not a Italian dish.
Right.
A little American dish.
Exactly.
And,
so like
was it-
you mentioned that movie Waiting before. So like I love culinary movies, being a chef, of course.
What was the one you loved? What was the new
Big
one?
Night. My
Big
favorite.
Night, yes, with Stanley Tucci.
Yep.
And then the Shalhoub.
Yep, Tony Shalhoub.
But how about the one recently with Bradley Cooper?
You know what? That showed.
What was that called?
Now that was called Burnt.
Burnt.
And it was called Burnt for a reason. And that's what I was talking about earlier. The mental anguish that chefs go for. So here we have a guy that was a Michelin-starred chef, falled off his graces because he partied hard and got into drugs and things like that. Edged his way back into the top, but it showed how maniacal these chefs at that level have to be and the dedication to their craft that they have to be and how precise every single, not just piece of parsley you put on a dish or an astringent or whatever you're garnishing with, but they are at such a high level of it, food, it crosses over into art that they're there 18 hours a day. They never see their families. They never see their children's. And, and quite honestly, right now, there's a high rate of suicides in chefs at that level because they can't deal with the pressure anymore.
So usually it has something to do with Anthony Bourdain?
With Anthony Bourdain, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of behind the thing, and there was just a celebration with cacio e pepe, which is one of my favorite Italian dishes. And there was just a big celebration of the 1-year anniversary of his death because that was it. And Anthony, everybody's got their own personal feelings, about what happened to him. And me as a young chef growing up, I idolized him, because here was a guy that lived it. And worked it and went from drug addiction, heroin and cocaine and pot and whatever he could score, and living in a rat-infested New York thing, and then going from making nothing to going to make $100,000 a year, and then going to a prestigious restaurant, Le Hal, in New York City, and then he got on a TV show. But he was actually a novelist. His real passion was being a novelist. He wrote novels, and but he saw everything in the world there was to see, and he might been one of those guys that just said, "I've seen it all, I'm checking out before things go bad." And there was also a story behind his girlfriend dating somebody else, and so you don't know what all the stories are behind him. But just another thing where here's a guy that we all idolized. I mean, the night he died, we all picked up a bottle of tequila and we poured it and we just raised our glasses to him, and half the kitchen was teary-eyed. It's sad. And he was with his best friend, who was another brilliant chef, Eric Ripert. They were doing, Parts Unknown in France, and they were having a great time. They had just gotten done with a bike ride. Anthony said, "I'm going to go rest for a little bit." Eric went to knock on the door, and he was gone. Just that simple. Somewhere along the line, he just said, "I'm out." So again, back to being, the intensity of our job and the intensity of the hours, unthankful work. A lot of time, unless you're at the front, like Michael gets a lot of accolades. I do, and I'm blessed to. Leo Del Garbino, but the guys behind the scenes, they're really doing the grunt work. You got to be, as a business owner, you got to be patting them on the back and saying that, because your guests aren't.
No, you can't see them at all.
You can't see them, and the person you see the least has the hardest job, the dishwasher. People throwing food at him all day.
Of course.
Throwing scraps at him all day. It's hot. It's wet.
I did that.
I did it. It's my first job.
School, helped pay my way through school, and then I was 14 years old. My mom's friend, she was a caterer down at Mount Carmel, and I was washing dishes. And when I was in high school, and I tell people this is true, but you start doing things when you do jobs like that, you realize in life what you don't want to do.
Right.
I said, and I tell people, I tell my kids all the time, 2 types of people in this world. There's the man, and you're working for the man. That's it. There ain't nothing in between. So get that education, and you run your own show, and become your own, and you become the man. Because if you don't get that education, you want to go to. Some people are made to be generals. Some people are made to be soldiers. Don't get me wrong. But if you're gonna do that, be a soldier, but go by your own beat, man.
Yeah.
Get that education and do things that what you want to do. Some people don't want to run a company. They just look. I work for a company.
Right.
I get.
And
that.
some people are content with that,
and
that's fine.
And very good at it, because we need soldiers as well as we need generals. So I get that. But man, I couldn't. I mean, washing dishes. All I tell my kids, like my son's now working, and he graduated fashion design. He's working on an HBO show in the wardrobe department. But he's a gopher. He's a PA, production assistant, which is a gopher. Code word for gopher. Every day, Pop, I can't take this, can't eat. I said, well, you're paying your dues.
That's right.
You have to.
Paying your dues, learning everything, but learning but again, you're finding out what you don't want to do. You don't want to be doing this.
So how many top designers, though, started off in that same position?
That's exactly right. I said, do everything you can learn everything you're going, the textiles, the textures, the fabrics, all that, price points and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you're still paying dues, and that's what you do.
You did.
At some point.
So how did you get into broadcasting?
I was an intern for 3 years and never got paid for it.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Here.
No, not in Youngstown, in Akron.
How old were you back then?
I was in college. Started when I was like 20.
And then your parents
So you're going to college full time.
I'm going to college,
and
playing baseball,
and intern.
Live with my parents, interning at the local.
And Michael,
ABC
we'd like you to
station.
get paid something.
Yes.
We'd like to
I
pay
heard
for
a lot
your,
of that.
at least pay for your food.
Then I
Because you eat
graduated
like going electric chair.
from college, sent out 1 million tapes, nobody bit. So I just kept interning and bothering them and bothering them and bothering them, and then worked at Chi-Chi's, and then finally they hired me part time for $5.50 an hour, and I was thrilled. I was doing news and sports.
So were you the guy that was
reporter.
carrying his own camera?
No,
out there?
I was a reporter.
Okay.
We weren't allowed to carry the cameras
Okay.
back then, and even now in Youngstown,
unions,
you're not allowed because it's a union.
Yeah.
Akron was not a union shop, and then I did that for a while, and then I worked up my way up to an anchor position for sports, which is what I wanted to do, and then I finally, we got then our station, if you don't know, Channel 23 in Akron, turned into a home shopping network one day, and we all lost our jobs.
Wow.
We all got fired.
No way.
No notice, no nothing. Just, hey, when you come in today, you don't have to dress up and bring a big box and clean out your crap. It was like, all right, great. And so I worked
how old
there.
were you?
I worked there 5
28?
years. I left it. It was $5.90 an hour. I was part time, and I was 24, 25, something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do. It was awful. But, you get through it.
get
Like
through
you
it.
guys, you do. You do what you do, and you keep working and bugging people, and then finally you get another break.
You get the call, but we got the good news and bad news. Good news is we're going on to bigger and better things with the Home Shopping Network. The bad news, you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. You're out.
Good news for us, awful news for you, and everybody. The whole newsroom was like, oh, crap.
So you were on the air in the Valley, and you and Lauren especially, for 20, right?
I was 18. I was
18?
just telling Ray today, 18 years here.
18 years.
Yeah.
18 years.
18 years too long.
Always in the morning?
For you, maybe. Not for me. No, I did sports for 5, which is what I wanted to do. And then
Okay.
they came to me and said, we'd like you to work on the morning show.
Yeah.
And
I
you said,
no way. And they said, no,
so you were
let
like,
me rephrase
you were like
this.
being David Letterman.
We want you to work on the morning show. And I was like, okay. And so I did that for 13.
That's when I came back. When I came from California, that's when me and my wife watched the news, and that's when I saw Mike. I said, "Look at this good-looking
Look at
son
that
of a gun.
handsome
Who is he?
devil."
Yeah, handsome
Yes.
devil. He don't know what the hell he's talking about.
So
but
is
hey,
he.
and
he's
you
good
like to
look-
do goofy stuff.
I do. I don't like I don't like news.
So are you like a daredevil?
I
Are
don't
you,
like news.
I don't like the news. Yeah. I'm not officially a daredevil, but there are some things that I want to do, so I
So
go do them.
I've known some of the things you've done. Some are somewhat crazy.
Some are.
Yeah,
Walk
so-
through a car wash.
Yes,
That
you
one
did.
day?
You did. You did.
I always wanted to do that. I always
Okay.
wanted to walk through a car wash.
So have you ever jumped out of a plane?
Walk through a car wash.
Yeah, walk through a car wash.
That'd be interesting. How was that?
It was
You didn't know this?
No, I didn't know. But
mixed
I,
results.
It's funny when you're in the car. I often thought that. I said, "What would it be like to walk through?" I agree.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Well, it turns out the water's not as hot as you think it is.
It seems like it's cold.
It's chilly. The wax
wax.
is hot. They're
The
not
wax is
kidding
hot.
about the hot carnauba wax. They're not joking about that.
So what did it feel like to have the hot
so-
carnauba wax after
well-
the cold shower?
So I want to get. So you got waxed.
I got waxed, all right. Yeah.
We took another left turn.
3 times. 3 times within 100 feet, I got waxed.
Yeah,
So,
we
like,
just got
you
it.
know,
We just got
you know-
E-rating, or what we get that. What?
So you did that.
Okay.
Have you ever driven a car
Explicit.
150 miles an hour, jumped out of a plane?
I rode in a NASCAR with Bill Elliott,
Wow.
a NASCAR racer.
So left turn at how many miles an hour?
It was at the Goodyear test track in Akron, so it wasn't like a regular oval.
Okay.
And we were moving it.
So
That
were
was
you
pretty
fearful
fun.
at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I thought,
So he was just like,
you're with Bill Elliott, right? I'm like,
He's just like,
you want
what-
to listen to the radio? He's just kicking back in this.
so have
race
you ever
car.
been in a race car?
You know what? It's funny. Years ago, they offered doing that. Different people, a celebrity race challenge at one racetrack, and in Fontana out there, and I didn't do it. They invited me to do it. I'm not big on speed.
Okay.
I'm
yeah.
really not. I mean, I drive aggressive. People go, "You drive fast." No,
That's a nice way of
I
saying it.
drive aggressive because, like, being in LA all those years, you get in because ain't nobody letting you in. You got to create your.
I
own
was
thing.
straight up
but
terrified to drive in LA the first time I went
people,
there.
people, oh my God, no, relax. I'm good. I'm aggressive, but I don't big on speed. I don't do that.
Ever jump out of a plane?
No, and I got invited out a few times, and I said, yeah, I would like to do something. Go outside the box, challenge yourself. I heard my buddy did it and said, man, it's a euphoric feeling.
It is
He said,
completely.
Raymond, you got to do it.
You've done that?
Yes, I have.
And I wanted to do it, and then I had kids, and I go, they said it's 1,001. I said, yeah, I don't want to be that one.
So am I allowed to cuss on this show?
Oh yeah.
Sure, you can
Okay,
do it.
so my father told me before I did, he goes, Mark, there's 2 things that come out of the sky. Bird shit and assholes. And
Guess what you are.
and guess what you are. And it was euphoric. It really was. Especially when you like went through a cloud because you felt the condensation coming on your skin and everything, and then just going at terminal velocity at 142 miles an hour.
Is that what it is?
And hoping. I guess that's what it is.
Okay.
Yes. There was a movie about it, and that's the only reason I know that.
Okay.
And then you hope that the chute opens.
Right. Because if it doesn't, you don't turn your ankle. You
don't turn your
fall
ankle.
and you die. And that's pretty much it.
You don't fall.
I mean,
I've never bungee jumped or anything like that
can't do
because
it.
I was always like, "There's a good chance that thing's gonna break one day."
It's a great chance. 50-50.
I just, I mean, I got like my wife's son. He just recently did it, and I said, wow, that's a hell of a kid, man, to do that. He went outside the box, man. He's not that type of kid. He's was an adventurous kid. I shouldn't say that, but he did that. I went, wow, and he had a picture taken, in the midair, and I go, that's spectacular, man.
So, like for you, Ray, growing up, I mean, like your father was a legendary boxer, you as well. Like, what is it like to go into the ring and know that somebody is really going to punch you
Well, that's the
as
thing.
hard as they can?
It's funny, Mark, because people say, what do you do before a fight? I say, before we go in, they call me and everything. The last thing I do, I look in the mirror. Because I said, I know I ain't going to look the same when I come out.
No.
And I know it was like, you ain't going to look the same coming out. Because that was my style and it was going to be different. And so it's a mindset. People say, physically you got to be ready. Of course, mentally it's the game. The fight's here. Don't matter what kind of shape if the fight's not here. And that's when you realize, okay, and what I'm willing to do, I'm willing to die for it. I'm willing to go for it. In your mind, that's what you feel and that's what you train for.
So after the first big punch,
then
are you a little numb to it, or
yeah? People say, how did you take those punches? And I said, or how did you throw so many punches? I said, that's not the hard part. The hard part is taking the punches, because your body shuts down. Every time you get hit, your body shuts down little by little. Better shape, obviously, you're able to recover, but that's the part. And I look back, again now at this point in my life, I look back on that. What was that? We got too many, and that's the truth. You hear. We fighters are not the most sensible people, and we're not. Who would want to do that? What would make you want to do that? My whole reasoning to fight was different than most. Mine was the one I taught it from my father. I come from a loving middle class family. I went to parochial school. I didn't come from the barrio or the ghetto, broken family and stuff. My whole construct to fight was different. But one of the things I teach when I do these motivational talks, I travel the country. People say, how could this guy talk to us about where he'd never come from where I come from? He didn't come from middle class. I come from nothing. But I tell them, the difference is when we get in the gym, when I was in the gym with the guys who come from nothing, the guys all hungry after hungry, they weren't hungrier than me. My hunger for success was as much, if not greater, than theirs. Theirs was hunger to eat. Mine was hunger for success. So the point being is, the hunger for success, no matter what walk of life you come from, what class of life you come from, if you want it bad enough, hard enough, yours is no different than mine.
Exactly.
It's the hunger, it's the intestinal fortitude, what you want inside. And so not the outside forces. It's intestinal. It's the inside forces. So that's why, when I talk, that's why I tell them, your hunger ain't no bigger than mine. And that's all.
I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but who gave you the hardest hit?
Well, hardest punch I ever fought, without a doubt, was Alex Arguello. Alex Arguello was the hardest punch I ever fought. Now here's what I said. Then here's where the joke comes. Number 2, my daughter. And she says, "Papi, that's not funny." I said, "Well, it is funny now."
Yes, it is to every guy.
Yeah,
That's a dad. Yes, it is.
Anyhow, but that's a whole different game. But Alex Arguello, one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Of course.
One of the greatest guys. But anyway.
I miss that era.
No, me too. And so part of it is people understand about food and talk about restaurants. Nutrition is important for athletes in general, fighters particularly. So, when I fought Youngstown, when I fought here, we'd go to certain restaurants and they cooked me certain dishes because I was prepared for a fight. Or when I was in the hotels, I was training when I was in Reno or I was in Las Vegas, I'd have my rooms brought to the room and they'd specify one chef for me and one person to bring it up to me. Because like I said, my manager.
So what did your diet consist of?
Well, as you get closer to fight, you're cutting out on more carbs. I mean, you have carbs during the middle of training to function. So in the morning you have pancakes, you have oatmeal, and bananas, and oatmeal fruit, and a couple of eggs. But as you get, dinner is always chicken or fish, vegetables, salad, maybe some consommé soup.
Mm-hmm.
But and you may have some pasta here and there, or maybe a little rice to go with the food.
But you leaned off of that.
Or baked potato. But as you get closer, you lay off of that, right?
So it's still the same today?
I would like to think so, but see, no, Mike, because they
Or is
weigh
it
in the day
way
before.
advanced now?
No, they're weighing the day before, so you could eat like your electric chair. It don't matter because all you need is the 2-4 days. Don't eat. Then you eat like and then these guys blow up 20-something
I
pounds.
mean the training part.
No, training part. Well, yes
pretty
and no.
close?
I train for 15 rounds, and these guys aren't. There's not 15 round fights. Training is the same. The boxing is the one sport that hasn't changed. The same equipment for 100 years. Bags, jump rope, heavy bags. Type gloves. Now they've gotten better. The gloves and the bags, but now they're trying. But they're really not. They try to add scientific stuff with these new machines, for weight training, but light weights, for hand speed. They gauge your hand speed and gauge your punching power. Those stuff is good because it gauges the fighter, lets you know a point, I guess. How much better shape you're getting, much like your cardio when you give you a heart machine, they test your pulse, your cardio when your pulse starts coming down, the better shape you're getting in. There's things like that, but it's basically the same. It's basically,
So is there a difference between the fighters of this generation?
Oh yeah,
and
there's
your
no. Oh,
generation?
absolutely. And I'm not saying it because I was part of it, but the better fighters of my generation. Now, even before me, there were better fighters. I always say better athletes now. We're better athletes now, but better fighters before because they were fighting like during my father's time to fight depression, man. To eat, you had to do whatever you do to eat. So you learn the different tricks of the trade. These were guys sometimes fighting guys 30 times a year. So you learn.
Well, I
all
watched
tricks
that
of trade.
show. What is it, Cinderella Man?
Yeah,
About Jimmy Braddock.
Braddock,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like he his trainer said, "What was that noise?" And he says, "My belly." He goes, "When was the last time you ate?" And he was like, 2 days ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
In
There
the
you go.
depression.
My father
he's
had
going to fight.
depression.
Right.
And so the guys who broke his hand, broke his,
Right.
My father didn't know that my father fought for over 2 years blind in one eye. And now detached retina, but he had to eat. So he'd cheat on the test, and the eye test because they had to eat. So now a guy gets a stomach ache in a corner. Oh, I can't go. And so they quit. I mean, it's so better fighters before were better athletes now.
So what do you think about all these different categories of boxing with mixed martial arts?
Mixed martial arts.
And
Now,
all
mixed
that
martial arts they're tremendous athletes. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 13 years, and I trained a lot of these guys, helped some of them with their hands. They're great athletes, man, great athletes. But it's boxing is an art. They call it the noble art. I'm not saying this isn't, but it's
different.
It's different, man. It's
Do you
different.
think those athletes can cross over into boxing?
Some can, some can't. Yeah, or some fighters may be able to cross over into mixed martial too.
Right.
We don't know, but a lot of guys, can. I don't know if they probably could if they focused on boxing. They probably good athletes. But
Are you a
anyhow.
boxing fan? Or were a boxer?
I like boxing more than mixed martial arts.
Yeah,
Me too.
Yeah,
To me, mixed martial arts looks just like a fight.
it's
And-
It's,
and
it's like
boxing-
gladiatorial.
Yeah.
To me, has a little more.
Yeah.
Now, I may be completely wrong.
No,
but,
it just seems like.
but
like-
it seems like boxing's a little more technical.
that is.
Now,
like,
what's more exciting?
what depends. You could have a great
The
fight.
mixed martial arts is more exciting until they get on the mat, and then I
The-
snooze to
right.
sleep. I can't.
Right.
I don't want to watch that anymore.
I mean, they beat the hell out of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And people love that stuff.
But again, you couldn't do that if you didn't eat the proper way. You
That's
have to
right.
eat the proper
Right,
way.
right, right.
Any fight, that's why the guys who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they have a certain diet. They call it. There's a diet they follow. A lot of these Jiu-Jitsu guys, a lot of just grains, and they don't eat pastas. They don't eat carbs and stuff because their philosophy. These are the guys from Brazil, straight from Brazil, not Americans. Their philosophy is, you got to be able to fight at any moment, any time of the day. Your friend calls you at night, I need you, you got to get up and go, no matter. So you got to be able to have food that you can be able to fight on.
Right.
Having, pasta and
Make me
what's
sleepy.
it? Pasta and sausage. It ain't going to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. Call me tomorrow. I
God.
can't. So, I mean, there's those type of guys. So, I mean, that's why food is such an important part of sports.
Sure.
Athletes.
So what do you feel like Tom Brady and the Tom Brady?
Oh
diet
yeah,
and
yeah,
all
Tom
that?
Brady. Yeah, Tom Brady. He's being as well as he's taking care of his body, as well as he performed. Of course, he has a regimented diet. He's
How can you
takes care of
argue?
his Body.
You
No,
can't.
My goodness,
Remember
what
his
he's
years?
doing.
6
Wade-
rings.
Remember that
And he's
Wade
41.
Boggs? All the years he played for the Boston Red
With the
Sox and then
chicken?
the Yankees with chicken.
Yeah.
Ate chicken every game day, different forms. baked chicken, roast chicken, fried chicken, but chicken and rice. But it always had chicken the day of a fight because it went through. See, two foods that are all usable protein. No fat in them is chicken and fish.
Yeah.
Not the skin of the chicken. Yeah,
Sure.
but we're talking about just the meat of a chicken. It's all usable protein. You can digest that quickly and and gives you the nutrients and benefits that you need.
So, like when you were training, did you ever eat pork? Because pork has become a very lean animal.
Yeah, I mean, there's
over the
white-
years, and now
white
they're
meat.
going back to making it a fattier animal.
Yeah, I mean, white meats, right? The chicken, and they say pork is the other white meat, right? But Mike, you know better than me. I like pork. And we had some today.
How'd you like those ribs?
Off the hook, man. Them things were delicious.
Guy Hughes is just the best.
Then you read about some how they treat the animals. You go, man, they are filthy
horrible.
animals. Plus they're filthy animals.
These
They're
are
not
unpicked.
filthy animals by nature. We have made them filthy
No,
animals by the way they're commercially raised.
Raised, right?
It's terrible.
So then you go, oh man, I don't know if I can eat pork, but then I eat today. And I go, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. That puerco was
I saw you
pretty
licking
good.
your fingers for a
Oh,
while.
that was pretty damn good. So anyhow,
You
that's
missed the
it.
pork today.
I know.
Oh
but
man, those pork ribs were.
the guy's
far-
legit. Guy's legit.
Yeah, he is legit.
All right, I have 2 more questions, and we're
Is
probably
it-
getting close to the end here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
This is
because
a food question,
I like
then-
how you always pose these things.
and then I'm going to ask you a question about your dad's because
Okay.
Father's Day's coming up.
Sure.
And we all love
I
our dads.
apologize, folks. My wife's calling me and texting me.
Well, we're
I'm
running
on
behind
the
today.
show,
We're a little
baby.
behind.
I'm on the
It's a little
show.
behind. It's
I'll
okay.
wait.
Is there an internal struggle with you when you open up a restaurant in this area because you know the people in this area and you know what they like, and then you know in your mind what you really want to do.
Yeah.
So you have to struggle, I would think, between what I really want to do and what's going to sell and make me money. Is that the case?
It's a huge struggle, and go back to the movie The Big Night. You had 2 immigrant Italian men that came over from Italy. They opened up a classic Italian restaurant doing specific Italian food, and they were dead slow.
Yeah.
There was no business.
Yeah.
And then
a great movie. You ever see it, man? Good
It's a great movie. And then their buddy that had this big flashy restaurant. They the one chef, Tony Shalhoub, called him a communist because he thought his food was so terrible, but he was busy. And the guy told them a lesson. He goes, give them the food they want first, and then give them your food afterwards.
Okay.
So what I have done in the Valley is over the years I've
that's
learned
a
the
good way to
hard
put it.
way is, I've always felt that I've had an obligation to bring my travel and my knowledge to the Valley. So like the last 2 restaurants I've opened, both Acquapazzo and Bistro in 1907, I've tried to do the unconventional Youngstown menu.
Right.
But I couldn't have done that 20 years ago. I couldn't have done that at all 20 years ago.
just because you didn't have it in you?
the Valley wasn't ready for it.
Ready for it.
Okay.
It wasn't grown up
Our tastes
enough.
have changed. Our
I see.
tastes
Tastes have changed. People have traveled more. The Food Network has been a whole new part of that. The Travel Channel, YouTube, with all the YouTube chefs that there are. People are more educated towards food now. So now they're like, oh, I do want to try that. I want to try lentils. We have a vegan dish on the menu right now, lentil bolognese. You were talking
Yes,
about bolognese
yes.
sauce, but I'm using lentils to
It's great.
substitute
All
the meat,
protein.
and I'm
Lentils, all
serving it
protein.
over spaghetti squash.
Beautiful. Spaghetti squash is another one.
Yep.
So I'm serving it.
I love
so
that.
that's my take on the restaurant business. Now, I wouldn't say to somebody that hasn't been in the restaurant business as long as me, and trust me, I learn every day. I'm a student of, just like you're a student of boxing every day. I'm a student of culinary every day. There's not a day that doesn't go by. I don't see what is going on in the world of the culinary field, both from a front of the house perspective, back of the house, management perspective, all those things. I don't think you could come into this Valley not being known for doing some things and being progressive and just splash the Valley with, here I am, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
If it's too far out. you know?
Right.
Because you can't, I can't serve what, I feel that I have the training and the gift enough to compete with some of the great chefs of the country, but I could never pull that off here.
Right.
I can never pull that off here.
I was going to say, Mark, a couple years ago, I said, somebody said, why don't you open a restaurant? I said, I'd rather have money to go to them. I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was hoping, but I was looking for a restaurant to open, like a tapas bar or enoteca.
Yeah.
Enoteca is Italian, wine in small plates,
Yeah,
plates.
exactly.
People go, oh, I don't never go here. Well, I want it. Well, people like that. I said, people eat what they get.
Yeah.
People in Youngstown, they want food falling off the plate. Some days are going to a close too.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to overeat because we overeat in the Valley here.
Yeah.
They want food falling off. They want to be able to take that, doggy bag home. Small place, man, and you don't bang them for the price. You know, but good quality food, but small place. And you know, in Italy, in Europe, but then there's Italy. They always say, Ray, we eat till we're satisfied, not till we're full.
Exactly.
And that's, but in America we eat till we're full.
No, and we see a portion and we decide
right.
whether it's big enough for us
That's
or not.
right.
You know what I
And,
mean?
and
For the
that
money we pay
portion
for it.
is judged against the value of that portion, you know, because people associate food, whether it's good or bad, with portion size.
Exactly.
Okay, I paid
Absolutely.
$14.95 for this entree, and I didn't get enough.
Right.
Right.
You know, but I would rather give somebody a portion that's appropriately priced and portion size because of the quality of ingredients.
Right.
You know, my restaurants that I've opened are all scratch kitchens. You know, we make every single thing from scratch, and so that costs money.
And you
in
got to have the
today's game.
ingredients. That's right.
And
So
the
it's got-
ingredients cost a lot of money.
and you're not, and you can only put it off to the consumer, but you can't bang them for that much. So
You can't. You
they're-
still can't.
So you're.
It creates your margins get
the
smaller.
margin is small. I know margins in restaurants are not big.
Not big.
I know that.
Not big. If you do 10% to your bottom line, you're doing good. You're doing really good. If you do 15 or 20, you're doing phenomenal.
Right.
You know, so
But
it's just it is because chefs want to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But what they want to do is not necessarily what the guest wants to eat. You know, you always have to think about, okay, I love spicy food. I can't make everything on my menu spicy.
Right.
You know, Ray doesn't like spice.
I can't do spice.
And he's from Sicily.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't do it. My son,
Right.
my father, hotter the better. My son, hotter the better. My wife likes hot.
Yeah.
Me, I
Not
can't.
you.
I'm
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Will there be more in the future?
We're hoping so.
Are you
know,
allowed to say?
I think Laura, am I allowed to say? Okay, yes.
Well,
so,
we have to now.
Well, we don't
We
have
to
to.
now. We
But
got
Ray will get it out of you.
no. We
He'll get it out of you.
definitely have the next restaurant in the works. You know, I have the designs for the next 3 restaurants laid out. The next one is
Three?
3. The next 3.
How
So,
about that? I love
God
that.
willing, bank willing,
That's
all
right,
those
that's
things.
right, that's right.
So,
Already in
help-
small plates. Don't take his ideas.
Tapas, man. Get the
only
small
if Ray works with
Hey,
it.
all right.
Only if Ray works
Small
with
place,
it. But the next
but-
one's going to be called Oaxaca.
Okay.
You know, it's going to be my ode to what true Mexican food is. You know, my wife thinks I'm Mexican. You know, I'm Italian by descent and heritage, and I'm proud an Italian American citizen. But I love Mexican food. I've been going to Mexico for almost 30 years.
Well, you know, I was funny. I was just last weekend. I was up in Twinsburg. There's a restaurant called Comida,
Oh,
which
yeah,
means
Brant Evans just
which
opened
means
it.
eat. That's it. Grant. Grant's
yeah,
a friend.
Yeah, Brant's a good guy.
Brant. I say Brant.
That's all
my
right.
man. And it's
His tacos look really good.
Oh, it was off the hook, man. It was off the hook. The
Yeah,
guac,
I can't wait to go.
The guac and chips.
Really?
Man, oh,
Yeah,
it was
but
all-
we
yeah.
really hope to bring a true representation.
Brant
We're going
Evans,
to call it Oaxaca. Oaxaca, what most people don't know, is the culinary capital of Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, it's all the
South,
way down
in
on the
south.
west coast, south, all the way right connected to Guatemala. So it's really deep in south. Again, a lot of fish.
And yet, and I've loved friends. A restaurant I used to eat at every day in L.A. Italian restaurant, Il Forno Trattoria, where Eddie O'Neill, we would get together and thing. All the kitchen, all the guys were from Oaxaca.
No kidding.
Yeah.
They know
Talented
their
chefs,
stuff.
passion. You know, again, Mexican food. You know, it's a lot similar to Italian food.
Yeah.
Regionality,
Yes.
seasonality,
Absolutely.
and fresh.
Very fresh.
And
Very fresh.
And you know, not overly salted, not over,
No,
like
no.
when I made the pasta sauce today for
No,
you.
lovely. Oh, it was
Very
delicious.
simple.
Very simply.
Very simple. So we're gonna have great, simple. What's the word for grandmother in Spanish?
Abuelita.
Abuela?
Abuela.
Yeah.
So just like grandma made.
Abuelita.
Abuelita.
You got that?
Thanks.
What they say?
Yeah, Mike's he's a man.
We had a
of many-
Mexican guy on last week. I learned a little bit.
Abuelo.
So that and we're launching the food truck this weekend. We want to get the brand out there. The team here at Bliss 360 has done a remarkable job of branding the next restaurant, and we're launching it this weekend at the new Youngstown
Amphitheater. Yeah.
Heritage Foundation Amphitheater,
Right.
whatever they're calling
Right.
it.
Is that Oaxaca?
It's going to be Oaxaca.
It's
yeah.
going to be a Oaxaca
Yeah,
food
it's
truck.
going to be
Mine's
Oaxaca
a
food truck.
Oaxaca.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
And then the other, is that concept number 2?
That is concept number 2, and concept number 3. I
You don't have to say.
It's going to be my next Italian restaurant. It's going to be a tribute to my family and my heritage. It's going to be a little bit of Italy, and it's going to be a little bit of Youngstown American food at the same time. But it's going to be a lot of Italy, and I hope it's over the top because I want it to be an ode to our family name, Canzonetta. We're going to call it La Familia Canzonetta.
Oh,
and
nice.
so hopefully that's the 3rd restaurant. And then somewhere out there's a barbecue restaurant in the back of my head.
BBQ, baby. You can
BBQ.
buy that.
Oh, he's all about it today.
But eventually, I'm gonna get them a tapas place.
We may do that.
Enoteca.
Are we going to do it in Youngstown?
Good, yeah, I think it would go good, because good high-end beers and wine.
Oh yeah.
And small plates.
People love
Man,
small. You know what?
they
When
do.
my wife and I love her to death. When we
overeat.
go out to eat, we would rather order 10 small plates
That's exactly
than
right.
2 entrees.
Exactly, because they don't bang you for the price. You can only,
But there's so many
you
exciting
get,
flavors.
Yeah, you taste so much stuff.
And
Yeah.
you taste a lot of things. Exactly. Man.
And I love that. And,
Yeah,
you know, I have
I've
yet
gone-
to go to
but
Spain,
people go,
and I can't wait to go to Spain.
And people say to me, "Oh, Raymond, it won't go well here." I said, "Why won't it? It only goes well if you serve it and you show them it can be done, and it will done well. People will love that stuff. The new generation, they're more health conscious.
Very
and
much so.
And so I think
Well,
they're
there's a
more,
lot of lifestyles now. There's a
Lifestyle
lot of
changes.
dietary lifestyles.
Exactly,
You know, and
lifestyle
we pay,
changes.
you know, close attention to that, you know, at the restaurant, in the comments on social media and things like that. And we've really, really gone to a lot of lengths to make it easy for a vegan or a gluten-free diner or
right.
allergen diner to eat at the restaurant with exciting dishes that were made for them, that taste good, that it's not like, okay, I have to go to a restaurant and order every vegetable that they have.
Right.
So we've made like really, really great meals, you know, that I've focused on a lot and, you know, put a lot of time, energy, and thought into to making them healthy, nutritional, and bursting with flavor. And, you know, you have to do that today.
Yeah, man.
Because, you know, 10 to 20% of America now is eating gluten-free, is eating vegan or vegetarian, and there's a lot of allergens today. I don't know
Oh,
what's
you're right.
happened in
Yeah,
society,
I don't either.
what we've done to ourselves.
It's crazy.
But there's a lot of allergens out there,
Right.
and you know we have to pay close attention to those specific diners to do so.
All right, you ready for the last question?
Yes.
Not, it doesn't have to be the last question of the show, because if you have something to say, that's awesome. Give me or something. Father's Day is this weekend.
Yes, it is.
Reyes talked about his dad on the program.
Sure.
Very important to him. Your father,
Obviously.
super important to you. You have things on your menu named after him. Give me one thing he said to you or one thing he did that you still follow today.
One thing he said to me, the most lasting lesson my dad gave me.
And you're
is
next.
He
One
always
thing.
said, Mark, it's never yours until you have the keys. And number 2 is, it always takes longer and costs more
Then you think.
than you think.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing projects, whether it was his business, my business, or
Your
whatever.
kitchen.
New house.
Yeah.
He goes, when you're buying your house, he goes, plan on having another 10,000 because you're going to need it. You're going to have to go get blinds. You're going to have to go get cleaning supplies. Blah blah blah. It all adds up. But it always takes longer and costs more. And you know, he was so right. And the last thing is, he goes, when you're 25, you're going to blink and you're going to be 50. You're going to blink again and you're going to be 75. And I couldn't tell him how right he was. I wish he was still here to hear it because I blinked and all of a sudden I'm a 50-year-old man.
Right.
You know, 2 kids, 2 stepkids, 2 grandkids, 1 on the way. You know, you have how many kids?
3. My
3?
own, and my wife has 3. So together we're the Brady Bunch.
So you're a combined family just like me.
Blended family. Yeah.
Yeah, blended family just like me. So that's my story.
There you go.
Part.
How about
I
you?
miss him to death every day.
Of course. My father used to tell me since I was a little boy. He said, Raymond, always remember, one day the headline, next day the breadline. Same people calling you champ on the way in or become your bomb on the way out. Don't ever take this serious.
Yep.
Meaning, and when I started fighting, we get the fame. And he always kept me grounded. One day the headline, next day the breadline. To me, as a kid, since I was a day one, he told me that. I always remember that. And the other thing he told me, he said, Raymond, always remember, the higher you go, you're like the monkey that climbed the flagpole. The higher you go, the more your ass is exposed.
You're right. You're right.
I fear, yeah.
You know, and I've worked hard to get in. I consider myself a little bit successful. You know, but the drive now is not to lose what I've gained.
Right.
You know,
That's
I'm
right.
driven every
Yeah,
day
right.
not to lose what I've gained because I worked too hard to get here. You know?
Right. Right.
That's it.
What about your dad?
good. My
Don't be a
dad-
schmuck.
No.
Don't be a TV newsman.
Kind of. He would say, and this didn't really apply for life at the time, but it does apply to life. My brother and I, on Saturdays, we'd have to clean. We'd have to clean the house.
I did too.
You have
Yeah, so
to
did I.
wash, like
Saturday
literally
morning.
wash
Saturday,
the
right,
walls,
Saturdays.
clean the bathrooms or whatever. But once it got closer to noon and the ball game started to get on TV, we'd just we'd sit down on the couch and start watching, and he would just be, you know, after a while, I'd be like, come on. So he would say to us, do something even if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Just do something even if it's wrong. And that applies to life.
It sure
Like,
does.
just try something for heaven's sakes.
Yeah.
Even if you're so off base, you're off base.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
you know, and I look at that and I look at, you know, how my age group is different than my kids' age group, and how the work ethic of today is different than the work ethic of our time, and things like that. And I'm just like, just go out there and earn it for yourself. Have pride in yourself, pride in what you do, pride in your family. My dad also said, never let your family down. You know, he always said that. Never let your family name down.
My father used to remember, when you walk out this house, you represent his family. You don't represent yourself.
Yep.
You carry the man's senior name. Don't ever do anything to disgrace it.
Exactly.
I said, okay.
Because if I do,
Because people think I don't worry about my family, about me. No, you carry that family name. You could do stupid stuff, but it's the name of that family. Oh, I want you to. So that's true. But what I try to tell people, I tell my kids, and even when I do a lot of travel talks, especially kids, I did a commencement speech last year, and I tell kids, one thing I tell them, I said, you got to take shots in life. You got to take shots. Worst thing happens is, you fail. You say, okay, and we tried that. Let's move on. Mm-hmm. Take shots in life. You got to take shots. Life's all about the ride, man.
It is.
It's all about the ride.
I've always been
the destination. We know the destination. You got to enjoy the ride.
My family's always told me, Mark, you're the one that is willing to jump off a cliff to see if you'll survive the dive. And and that is me. That's the way I live my life. I've never been afraid of anything, of going forward. I always look forward. There was another race car movie back in the day, and it was an Italian race car driver. And the first thing he did when he got into the car is he ripped off the rear view mirror, and he goes, "I don't care about anything in the past." It's like moving. What's next? Let's move forward.
That's it.
Yeah.
So God willing, hopefully live our lives that way, because too many people look into the past. Dwell on the past.
If you dwell on the
regrets of the past, I always tell people, I don't live with regrets. I look forward a little more educated. Yeah. I don't look back with regrets.
I made a million mistakes growing up, in life and in business, and in raising my kids. But if you don't make mistakes, you don't know what the right way is. Sometimes you got to make mistakes, like your dad said.
No, it's true.
It is.
I sure learned the wrong way a lot of times. It's the right way that we're always looking for. Good show, buddy.
Good show, brother.
I appreciate it,
my
brother.
friend, my brother.
Thank you.
What a great show. This was
a
lot of fun.
I've
never done this.
No, well, look, see that?
You're natural.
Yeah,
I've never done this. I feel like
it's like sitting around a coffee table.
Yep.
Coffee table talk.
Coffee
table talk. All right, man. Anyhow.
Who's next?
We'll be back next time. Hopefully, we'll be back this time next week.
No, don't we have? Who do we have next week, John? Don't we have the? We got the guy that wrote a book on UFOs.
I would love to be in on that.
Come on, we got a seat for you anytime.
I'd love to be in on that, because my wife, I said, baby, one day before I die, it's all going to be out there. People are going to know that. How can we be alone?
No, Mark. I believe in you have to be pretty naive to think we're the only living things in this
universe. As cuckoo as we are.
Come on, stop.
It's cuckoo
it's a
as
large
we are.
universe.
You look up, there's billions of galaxies.
And it's been proven.
And we're the only one with cars.
It's been proven there's other life. Stop.
All right, so this will be interesting.
I definitely will tune into that.
Conspiracy theories. It's conspiracy
Joe
theory.
Rogan's big on that.
Yeah.
He's big on the alien life thing.
Is that right?
Well, you got to be.
Huge.
You know what I want to say is, people, come on, man. You got to be almost stupid not to understand that there's other life forms out there. It's been talked about. It's been proven numerous times. Well, I never knew who proved it.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
Just
Stop.
the government tell us. We're grown up now.
Right.
We've seen enough alien movies.
Oh,
That's
God.
Right. There could be a SpongeBob on
Favorite
another
alien movie?
Yeah.
Oh man, any space movie or alien movie?
Either or.
E.T.
E.T. Okay.
Oh, God.
Does that count?
I guess
It does.
so. What's yours?
I mean, it's a top one.
Alien. The
Mine's
first one.
Alien's awesome.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver is so
That's it.
good.
I'll never forget when that thing popped up out of the stomach.
Predator ain't bad.
Predator's not. It's gotten a little goofy.
Well, the first one
Oh, the first one was great.
with Jesse the Body and those guys.
Yeah.
But see, Alien, man, we never saw anything come rip down a guy's chest.
No, we never did.
No.
Do you consider Superman an alien?
No, man. He
Well,
was
he's
just a
another life
super-
form.
Well, he's from another planet.
No,
Yes.
but he was a Superman.
He was super duper.
Favorite superhero?
Oh man, if I had to be one, I would be Superman for the flying.
For me, I like what's it, man? The Hulk.
You like the Hulk?
I like the Hulk.
Really?
I like the Hulk.
Batman for you
I like
because of the
Batman.
gadgets.
Because he was a
He had cool gadgets.
He has got his
Because
okay.
Strong
Yeah, I don't know
man,
who this next
he
guy
had
is
a
playing
soft
Batman,
heart.
but
I don't know. You picked the
Hulk.
Hulk. He couldn't even talk.
I like the Hulk.
What would you
man.
do if you couldn't
or,
talk?
Or you know.
Maybe
nah,
that'd be a nice break
nah.
for a lot of
Is that
people.
your alter ego?
I'll tell you go. I would like actually no. If you, let me real fast.
right.
If you could have any extra superpower,
All right.
what would it be?
Read minds.
Superpower. Travel forward or backwards in the future.
Well,
Or
You
time
just said you
travel,
never
time
go back.
travel.
Well,
You never go back.
I would love to have dinner after your son,
Right.
Leonardo da Vinci.
That's
Michelangelo.
Oh, okay, all right,
okay, real
all right.
fast. But I was, and my favorite,
Yeah.
be able to
invisible?
be invisible, because I'd be sneaking into people's rooms, watching them get dressed. And,
Can we
No,
say that today?
That's why
I'd be a lurker. But
I'm just going to push 911. You hit send.
Uh,
that way
I
it's
mean,
not me.
I'd
Should
be
I call my
sneaking into
lawyer
people's
now?
rooms. Hey,
Mike, where
real
are
fast,
you?
Real fast. What was I? We should ask this question. 3 people you could have dinner with, any part of history.
All right.
Any time in life. 3 people.
Howard Cosell, because I'm big into the
Sure.
sportscaster thing. The Da Vinci would be one, and then maybe Lincoln.
Well, you picked one of mine. I would be Lincoln, Michelangelo, and I think General Patton.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You?
I said.
And he always said Sicily was the key to the invasion of Europe.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
For me,
Yeah.
I would do Jesus Christ, Al Capone, and John Lennon.
Oh, those 3 great
That's
ones.
eclectic as
That's a
hell.
Yeah,
That's
it'd
so
be
good.
different.
That's good.
Yeah.
That was
That's so good.
It'd be
that-
different.
y-
It
Had
would
you
be different.
prepared that, or
No,
that just came to
I've
your
always,
mind?
No, I've always said that. I said, you have different pictures. I said, you have Jesus Christ, you want to,
You're gonna have fish at that one.
yes.
I read it.
And Al Capone, because, he just so far ahead of his time, and in so many ways, different ways.
I always felt I should live in that era,
And then, of
The
course,
20s.
20s and 30s.
John Lennon, man, because just the artiste he was, yeah, man, he was another one before his
Which
time.
one of those would you be tired of after about a half an hour?
John Lennon.
He's so
Patton.
out there. Yeah,
Mine would
maybe
be Patton.
Mine would be
Because he
Wood.
was all war, but he knew history inside and out.
Oh, yeah.
Every battle of every era, every age, every dynasty, he knew inside and out.
Right. That's true.
All right.
Well, again, if you have any thoughts about the show or not, on social media, so get back to us, email us, and hopefully you'll come back again next week when we have our alien escapade.
He's
We
an
have
author.
Our
He's an
alien
author,
talk.
yes.
Alien
All right.
opera. What'd you say? Alien opera?
Two books. Author.
Alien
And he's right here in the valley.
No, he's
Arth-
from Dayton.
Author.
Oh, Dayton.
Not
Dayton.
Arthur.
It's kind of
Author.
Well, they
Arthur,
say they
correct.
have aliens in Dayton.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
they?
whole point of the first book.
Okay, I'm
gonna
gonna
be
have to
great.
get his book.
Have they said that?
Well,
Yes.
they say that the Roswell
They're
crash,
it's in Dayton.
they took him to Dayton. Took whatever it was to Dayton.
I did not
You're going
know
to find
that.
out all
I
about
did not
this.
know
You're going to learn
that.
a lot next week.
Well, I'm gonna find. I'm looking forward to that. So if you look for anything about the our alien invasion, it's next week at the same time, same day. Until then, take care of each other, love each other. Good night and God bless.
God bless. Thank you.